This segment of CoastLife is sponsored by Coastal Comfort Heating and Air Conditioning.
Well, we are in the swing of summer here along coastal Delmarva, and maybe you're noticing a couple of issues with your HVAC system. Well, who are you going to go with? We've got Lacey Coleman joining us on the CoastLife couch today. And Lacey, you're with Coastal Comfort. We know you guys are top tier and your customer service is unmatched. But talk to us a little bit about when it comes to picking your HVAC contractor. What are some of the things that people need to be aware of, be on the lookout for, and know that they're picking the right person? Because there's a lot of options.
Absolutely. There's a lot of HVAC contractors and just contractors in general, and it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Sometimes for me, if I'm getting some work done at my house and I'm calling someone, obviously not an HVAC contractor, but first, really important, license and insurance. And companies should be very forthcoming with this information. The insurance protects you as the homeowner. If anything were to happen, certainly nobody would intentionally, make anything happen, but accidents happen. There's, human error all over the place, mechanical, different things.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you are protected if someone is doing any sort of work in your home. That is first and foremost. And also licensing, local and state licensing, especially, in Sussex County, not only do you have your state HVAC license, you also have a contractor's license, and then each individual municipality generally has a permits and licensing process. So the permits, and that is all there to protect the consumer.
Right.
Sometimes the permit process, it can be frustrating. I understand.
Sure.
From a contractor perspective, it can be frustrating for us too. Sometimes it takes weeks to get a permit back, but the permits and inspections are there to protect you. So you want to choose a contractor that is going to follow, the law essentially.
Yeah.
So sometimes you think, if a contractor is willing to not, what other steps are they not, following? So it is important to license, the proper licensing, insurance. Licensing, you have to test, to make sure that you have the knowledge in the field, and you want a professional. And if you're paying someone, I imagine you would want it professionally done.
You would think.
And someone that's going to, next is reputation. How long have they been in business? And, a company that's been in business only a year or two, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But longevity definitely proves that, they have good customer service, and they show up, they stand behind their installs or work or whatever the case is. So I think longevity, how long they've been in business, referrals, don't be afraid to ask for referrals and get some feedback from other customers that have experience specifically with those. Heating and air conditioning has always been, a big ticket purchase, but with the last few years, with we've had a lot of regulatory changes within our industry, minimum efficiency changes, refrigerant changes, shortages, you name it, all of the hot topics we see on the news have affected our industry. So it is a significant, and I say investment, because it's an investment in your home and your comfort, and you want to make sure that it's installed properly. A poorly installed heating and air conditioning system can cause a lifetime of of headaches. So you want someone that's has the knowledge of the product that they're installing, and also depending on what type of system you have, do they have knowledge with that, and standing behind the work. So sometimes mistakes do happen, and how a company responds to those, how they stand behind it, are they showing up? So we hear, in the industry sometimes, I called, XYZ company for an estimate, and took them 3 to 4 weeks to get back to me. To me, that's a little bit of a red herring. If it's taking them 3 to 4 weeks to get back to me with an estimate to, install a new system, what kind of service am I going to receive after the sale? So these are types of things for me that I'm keeping an eye on, being in the industry, our response times should be relatively fast, unless there's extenuating circumstances that are explained. But if there's no communication, I think that's really important, is how a company communicates with you throughout these different processes, how they respond to, situations that maybe didn't turn out the best that, we would hope, how we respond to that. And then that, I think, is the true tale of a solid company, a good company, one that you want to partner with. And that's really what buying a new system is. It's a partnership, it's a relationship. You're going to be essentially, married or have a relationship with that customer, you hope, for the duration, at least 10 years or more, until, it's time to install another one.
Exactly. Well, and Coastal Comfort checks all those boxes.
Of course. Yes. I mean, my technicians, we spend a lot of time on training. Everything that we work on, we have in our training shop. So our technicians are getting experience doing those things. We also pair them up with a more experienced technician once they go in the field. So it's kind of graduated. We're not just sending
here
someone.
You go, right?
Exactly, sending someone out there. We work to have our technicians and our installers NATE certified, which is aside from your state and local licensing, it's another third party. It's a North American Technician Excellence, so it's a different one. So that's another test that they can take for, just kind of proving your knowledge in the industry.
Another level of certification, yeah.
Absolutely. So all of those, different certifications, all of those different levels prove that you're invested in your team, you're invested in the overall knowledge, and that's the best way. I think our industry is ever changing. So there are differences in contractors, and just sometimes asking questions, digging a little deeper, and don't be afraid to do so.
Yeah.
You as the consumer, you should everything. We're working for you. Yeah, we're working for you, and we want to make sure that you get exactly the experience that you deserve.
Fantastic. Well, Lacey, as always, I can never tell. I feel like I always end up feeling so much smarter after chatting with you. And I'm like, I didn't know how much I didn't know when it comes to, not only about the HVAC system in general, but also how to pick the right contractor. And I think you covered a lot of ground here. So if maybe you are looking for a contractor, Coastal Comfort is a great option for you because they have all of those boxes checked. And thank you for coming in, Lacey.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Of course. We got some more Coast Life to get to, though. More fun to be had when we get back.